What's good, guys? It's Barca Reacts here, and we got to talk about that weekend's performance against Atletico and what happened midweek in a huge game against Napoli. All right, so first we got to start off with the pressure of how big that Napoli game was, not just financially, but as a sporting project. We got to attract the best players. We got to look attractable. We got to be the best. We got to be the Barca of old. And that Napoli game was huge to get back into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We haven't been there for so long, like 3 years. It feels like an eternity. And I'm just happy by the intensity of how we played and like how much these players wanted it. Like Yao Cancelo, Fermin, Rafinha, Kunde, all these guys, Ter Stegen, these guys all wanted it. And a bunch of players, they impressed. Like we got to start off with Fermin Lopez because how many times this year have we not been clinical when we had created chances? And Fermin Lopez was a great pass from Rafinha. Loa hesitates to get to it because he sees Fermin, and Fermin he slots it in the corner and then he celebrates like crazy. The stadium erupts. What a moment for us. And that like that lifted us up. Next, I really wanted to say how the whole team played really well for the most part. We had some moments where it was kind of iffy and it looked kind of suspicious. Like Napoli's goal, it was honestly a good move from them. Gundogan didn't track his runner. That's all you could really say. Because other than that, it was like five good passes in a row, and it was a good finish by the center back. By the way, crazy. But I'm happy to progress mainly. And I'm not gonna lie, we have to sign Yao Cancelo, bro. We can't just let this guy walk back to Man City and go to like PSG or like I don't know, back to Bayern or to Man United. I don't know where he's gonna go, but he has to be at Barca with what he's been saying recently. He's saying that he loves Barca. He's a Barca fan, and he plays like it. He plays like a fan. And the things that what matters most is that this guy's got the quality of a top player. His creativity. People talk about his defense, but let's talk about his offense. His offense is amazing. He's one of the best offensive fullbacks in the world, and his defense isn't bad. It's just his positioning's not always good. And that's why we need to have top center backs like Araujo and Kunde, and maybe one more physical center back to get in the summer to cover up for this guy, alongside with the CDM, and he's gonna flourish in a real team. And we gotta move on to an even more impressive, in my opinion, just the way we handle it. Maybe less pressure, but what an impressive way to dismantle Atletico Madrid. We absolutely dismantled them. Besides like the first like 10 minutes, Atletico didn't have anything. They had a couple attacks. Ter Stegen made one amazing save, but aside from that, he didn't have to do much. And it all started with Pau Barsi. Pau Barsi makes us play a couple seconds quicker, and people don't realize what that does in football. And this guy is a top player. Let me tell you that he is what we thought Eric Garcia would be. This guy has Eric Garcia's passing, but better. He's more brave. He does more long passes, switches the play quicker. I think there's no room for Eric Garcia with Pau Barsi, and he's more aggressive, and he fouls less, and he's a better defender. So we gotta play this guy more, man. He's keeping Inigo out the team for a reason. That's all I'm gonna say. Yep, yep. But arguably the best number nine in the world right now, Robert Lewandowski, he has been phenomenal. I think that this guy, I don't know what's happened since the new year, but his finishing has been way more clinical. He's been more consistent and he's been turning the ball over less, which helps us attack. We're scoring more goals. People just don't realize not turning the ball over and just like keeping a simple pass sometimes, especially when we're already high up the field, is the right thing to do because it stops the counterattack and also we can just recycle the play or somebody else could have a moment of brilliance. And Robert Lewandowski, he's just doing the basics and he's finishing. And that's all we really need from him. He's in form, but that was an amazing performance. That cross to Fermin for the last goal. That's literally world class, bro. And his first assist to Yao Felix was quality too. Yeah, he had a good touch after Gundogan played him in. I think this guy, if he's in form, you know, people cannot rule us out for anything. That's all I'm gonna say. But speaking about Yao Felix, bro, just tell him that we're playing Atletico every week. Cause this guy, when it's Atletico, this guy wants to play. And it's not for me, it's not the talent. Yao Felix is a talent, but the thing is, it's the consistency. I wish he was more consistent because he's got quality and he's got real creativity and he knows where to be sometimes, where to finish it off. Sometimes he's just off it. That's really it. He sometimes is a passenger, and we need him to be more than a passenger. We need him to be one of the front leaders of the team. And Xavi had a red card. I think the first yellow card was kind of dumb for him to get, but the second one, I don't know. I think the ref just wanted to send him off because I know Xavi was complaining, but they were letting Atletico play with a lot of stuff that were fouls. And then whenever we played physical, they were like, nope, that's a foul. And I think it wasn't a 50-50 game. I think Atletico benefited a lot. And really, we could have won by more if all those turnovers in the final third that they had weren't fouls. That could have been one or two more goals in the first half. And Xavi had to go. His older brother, interestingly enough, we have a loss with him in charge. His brother is 5-0 as a manager, so maybe we'll win our next two games or something for how long Xavi is suspended. But the big day on Friday, the UCL draw, and what everybody was watching for was the matchups, the brackets, who would we get. I honestly think the draw is not too bad. I understand Paris Saint Germain is a top club and they have the best player in the world in Kylian Mbappe, but it could have been worse. Like I think Man City would have been worse. I think right now Real Madrid would have been worse. I think honestly Arsenal is a better team. They're more structured. They have a good defense. In Bayern Munich, you could say like the mental, psychological aspect. So I think Paris Saint Germain is probably worse than all of those guys, but I think they're better than Atletico, better than Dortmund. I think they got more firepower. But if we can somehow manage Mbappe and maybe only allow him to score one goal in the two games, and then not allow anything else really, we could really go through. Because I see us scoring some goals if we show up. And it's a crazy game, and we're gonna talk about it more in other videos, but. We got a chance because we're in the right side of the bracket. We're on the right side, and this is a real chance to at least be a finalist this year. But moving on, I think the most important thing is that players they're improving. You know, we're being more stable defensively, and then offensively, we're putting teams to the sword. Like for me, Lopez, this guy's he's making he's making like three darting runs a game, and Kubarsi's finding him out, more times than not. When somebody else runs, like Rafinha, the back line reacts, and then they move back, and then right away Firmino goes through. Also, guys, we just got to talk about Lamine Yamal and Kunde. I feel like they've improved their level the most. Also, like Kunde, he had a huge game against Kvaratskhelia, who was still decent, but he limited him for sure. And Lamine Yamal, he's becoming more proactive, more of the creator role, and I think it's just nice to see that a lot of our players are improving. And lastly, I want to finish off with as we're improving, all these guys figuring it out on a more stable team with Christensen as the CDM, which I think honestly was a huge turning point alongside with Xavi's announcement to leave. I think these were huge turning points. I think Frankie and Pedri coming back will be huge for our midfield because right now, these two games, we sacrificed a bit of possession and we went for it more with the transition and long balls. But if we do get figured out, I think these guys will help, slow the tempo and then speed it up also. and give us more control in that midfield when we really need it, because against PSG, we don't want to play transition all the time because if they transition, they got Kylian and Mbappe, and we gotta just hopefully take our chances against them. And that's really about it. I'll see y'all. I'll probably make a video during the international break. My bad for not uploading, more. And see y'all in the next one. See y'all.